Morning. I will call to order the regular meeting of the Local Agency Formation Commission of Santa Cruz County. It is Wednesday, May 1st, 2024, 9 a.m. Clerk, will you please, Clerk and Executive Director, will you please call the roll?
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Jim Anderson is absent. Commissioner Roger Anderson?
Here.
Commissioner Justin Cummings?
Here.
Vice Chair Mona Koenig?
Here.
Commissioner Rochelle Lather is absent, but she should be on her way. Commissioner Eduardo Montesino?
Here.
Commissioner Alan Timms?
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Ed Banks, Zach Friend, John Hunt, and Fred Keeley are absent. But Vice Chair Koenig, we do have a quorum. And since our chair, John Hunt, is not here, you'll be acting as our chair today. So I appreciate that.
Wonderful. Thanks. Well, we'll proceed with the executive officer's message. So
Thank
take it
you,
away.
Chair. Just a quick reminder to the commission and members of the public joining us virtually and in person. This will be a hybrid meeting. Commissioners will be here in person unless they're sick, then they can be attending virtually. That is not happening today. Our legal counsel is attending remotely. Members of the public have the option to attend virtually or in person. For any members of the public that would like to address any agenda item, they'll have up to 3 minutes. We'll just ask them to state their name. For those joining us virtually, if you press *9 on your phone, that will raise your hand, or if you click on the reaction button on Zoom, and then you can click on the raise hand button that way. Here, I also have just a couple more minor updates. I do want to welcome John Hunt and Roger Anderson as our regular and alternate public members. As you recall, the commission selected and appointed these two gentlemen at our last meeting. Their terms officially start on May 1st and will end in May of 2028. So we're stuck with them for another 4 years. Appreciate it, Mr. Anderson. I also want to welcome our alternate legal counsel, Ms. Mala Subramanian. She is pinch hitting for Josh Nelson. She's also with BBK, and she's a great person to have joining us today. And finally, your staff has been invited to provide a crash course in LAFCO for the CAO's office today at 10 a.m. So the goal for staff is to get this meeting done by 9:45. So I'm going to try to make it as efficient as possible. That way you can go on your merry way. So Chair, those are the only updates I have for you. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for our executive officer? Seeing none, thank you very much. Proceed with item 3, adoption of minutes. Any questions or comments on the minutes? Seeing none, any member of the public wish to comment on the minutes? All right, seeing none, I'll turn to the commission for action.
I'll move approval.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tim, second by Commissioner Cummings to adopt the minutes. Any further discussion? Seeing none, can we do a voice vote? We're all here.
Voice vote would be.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Any opposed? 1 abstention. So that motion passes. Thanks. Proceed with oral communications. Any member of the public wish to address the commission today? See no one here in chambers. Is there anyone online?
No, sir.
All right. We'll proceed with item 5, public hearings. Our first public hearing will be on Porter Gulch Road parcel annexation. The commission will consider the proposed annexation of a single parcel to the Santa Cruz County Sanitation District for sewer service. If approved, a notice of exemption will be recorded to fulfill the requirements under CEQA. And we let the minutes reflect that Commissioner Lather is joining us.
Thank you, Chair.
At 9:04.
Chair and Commissioners, we did receive an application to annex a single parcel. This is just under 7 acres. The landowner currently has 2 single-family homes on this parcel. They're requesting annexation into the sewer district in order to receive sewer services for those 2 homes and an additional 4 dwelling units. The current septic system does not have the capacity to provide services to those 4 additional dwelling units, which is the reason why they're proposing annexation to the district. Here are some key findings that is identified in more detail in your staff report. The first one is we do have 100% landowner consent. Again, the affected landowner is the applicant. Secondly, the county has indicated that they support the annexation. They provided a will-serve letter as well as adopting a property tax exchange agreement, indicating that they are willing and capable of providing services to this parcel. The proposal area is also within the sphere of influence of the district, which means that LAFCO has identified as the county as the most logical service provider for this parcel. And finally, based on staff's analysis, this annexation is consistent with LAFCO law as well as the commission policies when it comes to changes of organization. Therefore, staff is recommending that the commission adopt the draft resolution approving the single parcel annexation into the Santa Cruz County Sanitation District. Chair, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there questions for our executive officer? Commissioner Lather? Oh,
Where, sorry about that. Is there a blow up of the area? Because I can't tell what streets these are.
Yeah, this is the only image we have here, and I don't think I can.
is that in fact Porter Gulch? I
Yes.
believe we're looking at Cabrillo College here, and this is Temple Bethel, and this is Porter Gulch Road coming off of Soquel Drive.
So SoCal's down here.
Yeah, if you could zoom back out for a moment. So this is Soquel Drive
Right here.
running through here. This is Temple
Porter Gulch.
Bethel, and this is Cabrillo College.
That's all. I wasn't getting my arms around that.
Great. If there are no further questions from commissioners, does any member of the public wish to comment on this item? See no one here in chambers. Anyone online?
No, I will note that the landowner is joining us here virtually as well as their consultant, but they haven't raised their hands yet, but if they're available if you have any questions for them.
Wonderful. Thanks. I'll turn it to the Commission for Action. Commissioner Cummings.
Yeah, I'll just say it seems pretty straightforward. So I'm happy to move the staff recommendation.
All right. Motion by Commissioner Cummings, second by Commissioner Montesino to accept the staff recommendations. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes unanimously by those present. I will proceed with item B, 5B, which is final budget for fiscal year 24-25. Commission will consider the adoption of a final budget for the upcoming year. Executive
Thank you.
Officer.
Thank you, Chair. As this commission recalls, we adopted a draft budget for fiscal year 24-25 at our last meeting. Total revenues and total revenues are expected to be 772,000. As you see on the screen, we did present the draft budget and we sent it to the affected agencies, the funding agencies, for comments or questions. We did not get any comments from our funding agencies other than their appreciation for receiving it. Other than what was presented to the commission at our last meeting, LAFCO staff did tweak the 3 budget line items, specifically involving accounting. As you may recall, your staff has been coordinating with other LAFCOs to hire a auditing firm so that we can start doing our audits. We received 3 bids. Those 3 bids will be presented to this commission in June with staff's recommendation to hire one of those 3 auditing firms. Now, based on their bids, we wanted to increase the line item for accounting to ensure that regardless of which auditor is chosen by the commission, we have enough earmarked for accounting services. So we increased it by $2,500. And because of that increase, we decreased 2 other budget line items. So we balanced the budget. We reduced miscellaneous expenditures by 1,000, and then we also reduced data services by 1,500. That way, the final budget is balanced. Other than that, this is exactly the same as what was presented to the commission last month. Therefore, staff is recommending that the commission adopt the final budget for fiscal year 24-25. And Chair, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners? Commissioner Anderson.
But can you, everybody hear me? I had a couple questions on the budget. And I will support the budget as it is, but I don't think it's as complete as we would like to have. My analysis indicates we're probably short about $80,000 from being able to accomplish everything in this budget. But I may be wrong, but over the next year, we can figure out whether or not that's the case. And there are two things that I think should be looked at. One is the general question of what is the balance carry forward that we've had in the past, and those compared to what we have assumed in this budget. The other thing is this also influences the projections for future years in terms of member contributions. So again, this will become clear, I think, as the year goes by. And then my last question is the switch over to a reserve fund, which is quite different from what we've had in the past, where we just did a simple balance forward. And I guess I'm a little concerned about the fact that in the past, when the commission has done this, and Jim and I are probably the only people that remember this, is that we were advised that we couldn't do this reserve funding. And so I just wanted a little bit more information about the background for that. And also, this implies to me anyway, the question of whether or not there is we'd have to go to liabilities and assets to do this. And we certainly have one big liability, and that's PERS. So I'd just like to get your comments on that.
Sure. So great comments and questions. And LAFCO staff has been trying to be more transparent than in the past when it comes to this budget. I think in comparison, there's more information available. In regards to your concerns about carryover or surplus funds, based on staff's analysis, we're projecting that we're going to have about $354,000 as a surplus, which will be used to balance the budget for this proposed budget for fiscal year 24-25. Again, those are staff's projections. One of the reasons why we implemented a comprehensive quarterly report is to keep track of that and present it to the commission on a quarterly basis. So you're right. We'll know what the actuals will be as we move along. And if there's any need to make adjustments, that will be presented to the commission. That way we ensure that we have enough funds available for any of these expenditures. When it comes to reserves, you're absolutely right. We've had a carryover amount historically around $300,000 each fiscal year. And we just use that to balance the budget for the upcoming fiscal years. What staff presented to the commission and what was adopted in our policies is to kind of distinguish what can we use that carryover amount. And so we developed two reserve funds, one for litigation. In the past, we had our litigation funds under attorney. We had $150,000 in that budget line items, but we would only use around $5,000 for attorney fees. So that remaining balance of $100,000 or so will just be carried over each year. So instead of doing that, LAFCO proposed that we just have a separate reserve balance of $100,000 minimum. Same thing. We're just creating a new bucket, distinguishing what that's going to be used for. The remaining amount for the carryover, we identified it as contingency. That is for any unanticipated expenses that can also be used to balance the budget. That language is in our policies. That being said, the commission has full authority on how we use the reserves, or if we want to modify the reserves or the language in the policy. That is the full discretion of the commission. But that was the intent of having these reserves, is just identifying what we can use those for. It's the same practice that we've done. The only difference is we're actually identifying what those funds can be used. So hopefully that answered your question.
No, I was more interested in the difference in advice that the commission had gotten previously versus now.
Yeah, and I can't speak on behalf of what was advised to this commission in the past. I will note that all the policies, since your executive officer was here in 2019, we worked closely with our legal counsel on making sure that the language in our policies are accurate, including the reserve fund policy language. We work closely with legal counsel, and we also have legal counsel here available in case they want to add more to staff's response. But the advice and information that we received from legal counsel said that we can develop these reserves with no issues.
Yeah, if I recall, the advice we got before came from the county, people that deal with budgets and their auditors as well. So I was just a little bit surprised by this change is all. But it's okay to go ahead with it. The only thing would like to know is whether or not we have to put in the liabilities as well into that reserve fund as well. So again, that will become clear as time goes by.
Absolutely. And again, we'll continue to monitor this, provide information to the commission, and then we'll move forward from there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? All right, seeing none, I'll open it to the public for any comment on the proposed 24-25 budget.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Becky Steinbrunner. I want to ask your commission to include within this budget money to help the Scotts Valley Fire District do hire a demographer and transition to district-based board elections. It's something that the people of Bransford would like. And as a proper litigant, I'm willing to file for a petition for writ of mandate to make that happen, if it has to be. I don't want to file any legal action. I would rather see LAFCO help Scotts Valley Fire Protection District fund the studies that will be necessary to create the districts so that there is equitable representation throughout the district. Scotts Valley Fire has taken on a huge burden with the reorganization of Bransford Fire, which was largely pressed into action by LAFCO. Although both parties did agree, it was somewhat under duress, I would say, on the part of Bransford Fire people. And they have an advisory commission now, but it has no power. And even though the advisory commission recommended that the Scotts Valley Fire Board sunset the Measure T funds that are being transferred from Bransford to Scotts Valley. And those monies are supposed to be kept and used solely for Bransford. They are not. They're being put in a general fund to benefit the whole of Scotts Valley. And Bransford Fire Advisory Commission asked that that be sunsetted. That was not discussed at the Scotts Valley Fire Board meeting. So I have confidence that Chief Carrera from Scotts Valley is a good leader and that he is listening and he's doing his best, but I'm not convinced that the Scotts Valley Fire Board is. And they are quite vexed about the added work that has come to their district with the reorganization and training and everything, bringing Bransford in. And now to be asked to have to pay for a demographer and transfer to district-based elections, it is a lot. They don't have it in their budget. It's something they'll have to discuss. So I asked LAFCO to help fund that. LAFCO funded a lot of the studies that happened for the reorganization. LAFCO funded the special benefit assessment ballot procedure that Bransford Fire underwent, trying to see if their residents would pay for the funding to have 3 full-time fire people there at the station. And so I ask now that LAFCO fund redistricting for Scotts Valley Fire so there's equitable representation throughout, especially for Bransford. This is an issue of nationwide, statewide concern. And in any legal action, LAFCO would be, and by necessity of law, be named as a real party of action of interest. Thank you.
Do we have anyone online?
Chair, and I'll defer to you. We did get late correspondence from Ms. Steinbrunner that is identified under agenda item 7.
Mhm.
We can either address her inquiry here or
Sure, I'm happy to pose a question to you, but just wanted to finish public comment first. Are there any other folks wishing to
Oh, I'm sorry about that,
comment
Chair.
online at the moment?
No other requests at this time.
Did have a question related to the public comment, which is when Aptos and Central Fire moved to district-based elections, how was the demographer funded? Did LAFCO participate in that at all? Is there any precedence for LAFCO actually take the step of contributing funds to any special district for these kinds of purposes?
So good question. And the decision to transition from at-large to zone-based elections was decided by those two affected fire districts. That led to LAFCO including language based on their request to indicate that that's their plan. And they also had a deadline to be until the year 2024, 2026, I can't recall, but they made that decision. So once that reorganization was completed, they coordinated, meaning Aptos and Central now as one entity, moved forward on hiring an outside consultant to do that work, and that was funded by that district. They did not request LAFCO to participate in that, nor do we felt the need to, because now it's post LAFCO action. So now it's up to them on how to run their district. So hopefully that answers your question. So no, LAFCO did not participate in hiring an outside consultant, nor we provided funding. That was just something that that district decided to do because that is part of their responsibility.
Thank you. I'll just comment that I'm certainly sympathetic to the fact that Branch 40 should be represented. Ultimately, as you pointed out, it's up to the Scotts Valley Fire District to make that decision. It also could be, in some ways, there's still a lot of pieces coming into place here. I know we have a report coming about all the fire agencies in the county and what opportunities exist for continued consolidation. I think I know I've heard a lot of chatter from various fire agencies about the need to continue streamlining operations, and so I know that these processes of going to district-based elections can be expensive, and so it might be worth having a better idea of where we're going as a county before undertaking it. And of course, whatever happens, that would have to be initiated by the district itself. Correct. All right, thanks. All right, seeing no further comment from the public on our 24-25 budget, is there, we'll turn to the Commission for action.
I would move approval to finalize the fiscal year budget for 24-25.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Tim, second by Commissioner Montesino to approve our 24-25 budget. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes unanimously by those present. We will proceed with item 6, other business, comprehensive quarterly third quarter report.
Thank you, Chair. Just briefly, the quarterly report goes over all the activities that LAFCO staff has done during the months of January through March. I won't go into details, but it does cover how many active proposals we have, the number of service reviews that we completed and our schedule for between now and at the end of the calendar year, as well as showing you all the different meetings that your staff attended. And it gives you a snapshot of where we're at with our current fiscal year budget, which I want to show on the screen today. As of right now, at the end of March, we received just over $700,000, which is a little over than what we projected we were going to receive. And we've exhausted around $370,000. So right now we've exhausted approximately 55% of our anticipated budget. Based on that and comments that we received from the commission, this chart shows what we anticipate will end at the end of this fiscal year, again, around $354,000, which would be more than enough for us to balance the budget for fiscal year 24-25. This chart will be will now be part of the comprehensive quarterly report moving forward. That way the commission will know exactly how much we actually have in our funds and how much we're projected to have at the end of the fiscal year. So this is something that we'll continue to provide to the commission. Chair, that concludes my presentation. This is an informational item, so no commission action is required, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners? Right. Yeah, Commissioner Timms.
Not strictly a question, but just to commend staff for another busy few months and, you know, a lot of stuff going on, and I appreciate your attention to detail and time spent. So thank you.
Right, seeing no other comments or questions from commissioners, any public comment on the quarterly report? Anyone online?
No, sir.
One question I had is, can you give us an update on the fire district, the Pajaro Valley Fire District?
It's a great question. So the Pajaro Valley Fire Protection District is in an interesting situation. They went for a benefit assessment recently and it failed. And so the board recently had a special meeting and to kind of think about what are we going to do as next steps? What's our future? They looked at 6 different options and they decided to move forward with 2 options. One of them is, let's try again with the benefit assessment and see if we could have a successful outcome, or 2, dissolve and be annexed or taken over by CSA 48. That would require the county willing and being able to assume that responsibility of fire protection for that area known as PB Fire. Those 2 options are going to take time and coordination. PB Fire did ask LAFCO to help with coordinating with the county. So that's something that your staff will be working with the CEO's office and the affected board of supervisors to see what concerns are there, what are the opportunities, what is the likelihood that can be accomplished of annexing that area into CSA 48, and what are the steps that will make that successful. So that's going to be something that your staff has been working on these last couple of months and will be in the near future, in addition to other fire districts that are currently struggling at the moment. It's a challenging time for all fire districts, and PB Fire is not an isolated situation, but LAFCO staff is currently coordinating with them and others to make sure that we have some type of plan on whatever option they decide to do. So that's the latest news. I will note that your fire consultant, Don Jarvis, has been instrumental in helping PB Fire identify the options and working closely with them. So he's been a great asset for LAFCO. But again, that's a quick update on what's going on with PB Fire.
Is there a listserv or something else that keeps track of this? I mean, you mentioned there are a number of agencies having difficulty. Is there a central location for all of these or not?
Right here. No, it's staff. No, but staff is keeping track, and that's one of the reasons why we identify all the meetings that we have each quarter, because that keeps track of our coordinations with the agencies in question. But yes, we are monitoring and we're keeping track of all that.
Great question. Thank you. All right, seeing no other questions, this is an information item only, so no action is required. We'll proceed with written correspondence. Item 7.
Yes, Chair, as I mentioned earlier, we did receive a late correspondence from Ms. Steinbrenner regarding a request to potentially fund a demographer for Scotts Valley Fire. Now, that email was attached to your agenda packet. It was uploaded on our website. And it's up to the commission to have further discussion. But for staff's point of view, I will note that the transition from at-large to zone-based elections was not a request, a recommendation, or a condition of that reorganization involving Branson 40 and Scotts Valley Fire. Secondly, Scotts Valley Fire did not make the request to help fund this outside consultant. And third, something that the chair mentioned earlier, LAFCO has no statutory role or purview over elections of any city or special district. So it would be unprecedented for LAFCO to then say, we're going to step in and we're going to play a role in the election process. That's not what LAFCO's role is when it comes to how districts run their organization. For those reasons, I don't see staff supporting funding this study. But again, this is something that was requested and the commission can discuss if you'd like. But that's just a quick summary of the requests submitted by the member of the public.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? All right. Yes, Commissioner Cummings.
I'll just make one brief comment. I think it would be a slippery slope because, you know, for example, the city of Santa Cruz just moved to district elections. I know that there's still Capitol and Scotts Valley don't have district elections for their cities, but if we think of every single district throughout the county, if we were to start funding demographers, anytime somebody wanted to move to a district election or they had some costs that came up, it could be, we would find ourselves running out of money very quickly. And so I just think I think it's up to them to try to figure out that process. And I think that, and there are legal ways that people have, you know, pushed districts to go towards district elections, but I don't think that's the role of LAFCO in these circumstances. So I appreciate your comments on that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Commissioner. In fact, the studies that we have played a role in is because it ties directly with LAFCO action. It's a recommendation of annexation or reorganization, the actual change of organization. That's something that's tied to our purview. And those are the studies that we have played a part of. But something like this, one example is the city of Capitola. They requested help with funding because in our last service review for that city, we requested that they look at their sphere and see whether or not they're going to annex territory within their sphere of influence. So they decided we need to hire an outside consultant to do the analysis. LAFCO, can you help us with that funding? Because you asked us to do this study. That is something where I feel like the commission can play a role in, but this is something completely outside of LAFCO's scope. So I agree with you, Commissioner.
All right, thanks. Seeing no other comments, we'll proceed with, we have to take public comment on public comment in the form or in written form.
I'll defer to you, Chair. You did.
Yeah.
I'll defer to you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna take public comment on this. I mean, we have discussed this at length at this point on two items. So we'll proceed with press articles. Thank you.
And Chair, I do not have any presentation for press articles. This is something, a standard item that we identify any related articles that will be of interest to the commission. This is an informational item, so no commission action is required.
All right, thanks. Moving on to item 9, commissioner business. Anything that any commissioner wishes to bring to the commission's attention? All right, seeing none, that brings us to the end of our meeting. Adjournment. Thank you, everyone. Our next meeting will be June 5th, 2024.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.